And we'll move on to item number 7, which is Department of Public Works and overview. We will be receiving a presentation from the Department of Public Works on departmental functions, responsibilities, and accomplishments. Welcome, Public Works. We're excited to have you all here. That's you.
Good morning, Board. Mike Arante, Public Works Director. We're pleased to be here to give you an overview of what we do in Public Works. And as you can see, we have a room full of Public Works staff. These are truly the ones that make things happen. I'm just show up and not tell them what to do, but they're doing a wonderful job. And this gives them an opportunity, and especially the new board members here, to see the faces of the people behind Public Works. So they'll be talking about each of their divisions as we go through. I'll introduce them, and please feel free to, if you have questions come up, please ask. We're here to interact. This is kind of what we're hoping to do. And again, this is an overview. We're not going to get too deep, or we'll be here for way too many hours. The next slide, please. So this is a chart of our Public Works. I know it's a little hard to read, but we try to cram all 10 divisions and all the people on one page. So I apologize for that. But at least it gives you an idea. We have approximately 100 employees in Public Works, and spread over 10 different divisions. And we're going to chat about each of the divisions as we go through this.
Are all of those vacants funded, or some of them unfunded?
I think some of them are unfunded. Is that correct? Yeah. So most of them, a lot of them are funded, but there are some unfunded. So as I go through these, I'll mention the person, and then we'll go through the slides, and they'll each come up and kind of talk about their division. So as you go through on this difficult little chart to read, starting at the left, it's airports. Ashley Helms is the deputy director. She has done a wonderful job since she's gotten here. She started in the engineering department and has just embraced taking on this task of not only doing the capital improvements on the airports, but also getting commercial service. So she has worked tirelessly, her and her group. The next one is fiscal, is our senior management analyst, Brianne Nellums. She is the one that oversees us all and makes sure that we stay in our lanes as we're out there spending money and watching the funding and paying the bills. So it's quite a daunting task, but she has done a wonderful job delivering services to us. So very blessed to have them all. The next one is under operations. We have 3 different divisions now that we recently merged them. We have building and maintenance, water systems, and parks and rec. Parks and rec and solid waste recently got transferred to Public Works last year. So we're working through as we're trying to write playbooks for it and dial in the way we do our operations. Mr. Chris Cox is the deputy director. You probably see him running around everywhere, him and his crew. They tirelessly, keeping our facilities in shape and answering a lot of our work orders that you'll see as we go through these slides. The next one is LTC. I'm the executive director of it. Justine Cox is our transportation planner. And we were fortunate because prior to that, John Pinckney was a transportation planner. So as he moved up, he was still here to be able to mentor, which is unusual. A lot of times people will leave and that person's there kind of learning it on our own. So, and he's still very active helping LTC and Justine as we go through the various commission meetings and whatnot. So we were fortunate there. The next one is our engineering department. Engineering department, as we go through the slides, handles permits to delivering projects to getting funding and watching these projects administered through the end, all the way through audits. Greg Waters is now our senior engineer, so he's been tasked to help the rest of the staff. And also we do a lot of mentoring with our new staff to help them learn how to administer projects and deliver them. Next, we have solid waste. Cap Aubrey, our deputy director, which solid waste we just again inherited recently. And so CAP has worked tirelessly to run the various landfills and transfer stations and work with all the regulatory agencies. Next, we have road departments. Our deputy director, Shannon. He'll be talking about, the functions that we have in our road department, and you could see our crews have just been doing a wonderful job dealing with not only snow, but as we have weather incidents taking out our roads, they've done a wonderful job not only maintaining our roads, but answering to these calls when we need them. And finally, we have building and safety, Tyson Sparrow. We have 2 inspectors that take care of our county and the city of Bishop. So they're running around quite a bit throughout the county, taking care of inspections and processing permits. We're going to ask him to go first because he's solo this week because our other inspector's out of town. So he has numerous inspections to go. So I promised him he goes first so he can take care of business. That in a nutshell is our 10 divisions.
Wow, quite a department.
Yeah.
Okay, thank
Next
you.
slide, please. A little bit of background on me. I've been here about 7 years, licensed civil engineer in the states of California and Arizona. I have been a public works director for other agencies in the past, city of Palm Desert. I've had private experience as well, so I've got kind of rounded experience. But I also wear several hats here as a public works director, the airport manager, executive director, LTC, road commissioner, building official, and fire marshal. So it's kind of being in a small county that you get to wear a lot of hats and roles, which makes things extremely interesting. Never stop learning. That's kind of the cool part. With that, next slide, please. I'm going to introduce Tyson. Like I said, he's here to give you a little update and what he's doing in building and safety. And with that, Tyson, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you. Welcome, Tyson.
Good morning, board. My name is Tyson Sparrow. I'm with Building and Safety. And first, I'd like to thank everybody for taking the time to listen to our presentation. We consist of basically 3 employees. It's myself as the technical building official, James Feeney as the building inspector, and Cindy Trulson as the office technician and the glue that holds us all together. She is utmost important. Next slide, please. Oh, wrong. Sorry. We oversee approximately 500 plus permits in the county every year and an additional 200 plus in the city. We cover over 10,000 square miles and have days where we travel over 700 miles in a single day for doing inspections. So we are all over the place. And as most of you know, I think almost everybody here on the board has had some form of project or interaction with our department through the years. So luckily, we all kind of know each other a little bit, I think. We coordinate with multiple agencies, including CAL FIRE, the Environmental Health, Planning Department, and in different groups like the Great Basin Air Pollution District and Caltrans in order to make sure projects get done. When I was trained to become a building inspector, I was told that our job as building inspectors is an editor to a book. When people are doing a project, they are writing a book, and we are here to make sure the book comes out the best way possible. And that's how I view my job, and that's how we try to approach everything as a public servant here to help people. We want to make sure that the community feels comfortable and safe coming to us and know that we are here to provide the best possible information to make sure they get their projects done. So I'll open that up to any questions from you guys.
Good question.
I have kind of a comment or a question, I guess. When we combined with the city of Bishop for our building inspection department, I guess, I was concerned because the office is in Bishop and there's constituents way far away. I think you guys have done a good job of serving those constituents out in Southeast County. I want to hear though from you how you think it's going. And one thing that when we talked about that consolidation or moving of office there is that there was a commitment to make sure that get services here in Independence. And I have, sometimes I hear, that somebody comes here and they're told that the building safety is efficient. And I guess I want to make sure that that isn't the answer, that we're necessary. I mean, say it's there, but we should be providing the service here still if we can.
Correct. Yes.
And just hear from you how you think that's going. That's a really important thing, I think, for me and my constituents.
Absolutely. And I agree 100%. I think it's critical. The South County is the largest part of our county. We have an amazing South County. There's some really neat communities that I had no idea about prior to this job. And I've met some amazing people, some really interesting areas, and I've fallen in love with the South County. I consider it an honor to be able to go and serve the South County. And whenever we have anybody that needs anything there, I love to be able to go and provide that service to them. I think it's going really well. I feel like that we've increased our inspections and in our presence in the South County compared to previously. And so in my honest opinion, I feel like it's been going very well. Mhm.
And if somebody comes here and says, hey, I need a building permit, it's here.
It's absolutely here. It's in the Public Works Department. Correct. Mhm.
I don't know, do you ever get that somebody's not totally satisfied with, the engagement they get here in Independence? Or
I have not heard that,
okay,
except for maybe on an occasion, but
yeah.
not really, no.
Yeah.
So we try to be available to anybody. If somebody needs to meet in the South County, we're there to meet with them face to face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm always building something and you guys are always available to me, but I'm never sure if it's just me or everyone. Nice to.
We treat everybody the same. I feel like it's really important to be consistent and to be exactly the same, no matter who it is, whether it's, my grandmother or if it's whoever, it has to be the same throughout. It's critical.
Grandma gets building.
If she was.
Thanks, Tyson. I appreciate that. And I do hear, lots of good comments about you and James and your service.
Thank you.
To the community. I get it that every now and then there's some little above, but I've been impressed at how we work.
Following the building code and making sure that you're not going overboard is walking a razor's edge. So the code, it's written in black and white and it says this. And so we're constantly balancing that razor's edge and making sure that we're being fair to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What about all those little beehives and that's out there across the the Mojave Institute.
Oh, yes.
So
Yeah.
they saw around there.
I've been dealing with the Mojave Institute. They're a good group of people.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I like them.
Me too. They have really interesting ideas. They're in the process of right now have submitted for a straw bale house.
Oh,
Which I'm really excited because I like the alternative building methods. Sticking to just regular stick build is fine, but when somebody brings a new project with some new blood to it, I think it's fantastic.
do you think those bags of cement that the way they're building, could that eventually be a legit way to build the construction?
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot of that going on throughout the world right now. Yeah, that particular building method is exploding currently. And so it's kind of neat that there is some forefront of that happening here in our community. Yeah. So, and in addition to that, there's also talks of 3D printing cement houses.
I got to see some of that.
Right.
Yeah, I hope we get one of them.
At the Darwin mine, Jack Stone is talking about doing that for his employee housing.
A 3D printed.
3D printed dome houses out of concrete.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah,
I
maybe
saw
the
that.
whole presentation at ICRC.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I saw that.
Really neat.
So we have one potential.
Potential. Yep.
Okay.
Mhm. And some more potential dome houses up in Starlight, working with a client up there that's looking to build some pretty interesting houses and ADUs up in that area. So we have a lot of really unique areas and different perspectives throughout the county, and it really is eclectic but fantastic.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Thanks.
Well, I've said this to you personally, but I'll say it publicly. I love how I mean, you're a regulator, but you're also, like, when I call, and I think when a lot of constituents call, it's not a draconian thing, it's free construction consulting. And I can come in and you can be like, oh, you're doing this, do this way. Both you and James work to make it happen, as opposed to guesswork that the client has to like have it all figured out, like, oh, that's wrong, come back. You're more like, this is how to make it work. I really appreciate that.
That's exactly how we want to approach things. We want to be there to help people get the project done. We want to be the facilitator that gets them through the finish line. That's our goal every single day.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're public servants, and you can never forget that.
Yeah. And then back to the partnership with the city of Bishop, did you see the balance working out well, and how much time you're spending on both, and having sort of two bosses in a way? Has that all worked well?
Working with the city is fantastic. I thoroughly enjoy being with the city. They're a great group of people. Michelle is fantastic. She's another part that is the glue that helps hold us all together. And the workload varies greatly. Sometimes the city is, fairly slow. Lately, it's been very busy. And so it fluctuates greatly, and it's hard to quantify whether or not it's exactly fair, because I'm not even sure what the total contract is. I deal with more of the action, not the finance part of it. Yeah.
Sure.
Good job then. Any other comments, questions, thoughts? Thanks.
Well,
Yeah, go ahead.
I think working with you and Mr. Feeney has been a good experience, whether it's the city or the county. Educating the public and the contractors, you've been very good to work with. The new laws, the new engineering, the way things, you've been forthcoming and bringing the information and trying to get everybody educated to do things the right way. There is a new right way that we have to adhere to, and you guys have brought balance to that. And I want to thank you and James both for doing that. And it's been hard for some people to toe the line, but bringing that education is sometimes hard, but you guys have held fast, and I want to thank you guys for doing that, because it's coming along and you are doing a good job at doing that. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I'd like to point out that prior to us being here in the department, the Inyo County Building Code had not been touched since 1985. And so we rewrote the entire code to bring it up to date, and now we're following current California code. So, yeah.
Actually, just have a quick question.
Sure.
Hopefully you can hear me. You mentioned equality across the board in inspections. Occasionally, constituents will bring up that in the past, that there's been a different process in the city, a different process to the county, which end is up. Have you found that having that partnership has somewhat diminished that or streamlined it, making it easier for people who want to access permits and inspectors
Yes.
that overlap?
Yeah, it's helped tremendously. We've changed both the city and the county to be exactly the same pricing, permitting, whereas prior it wasn't. There was a different cost for the city than the county, and we've combined everything and made it all consolidated. And we work very hard to make sure that it stays that way. So if somebody gets a permit in the city and then applies for that exact same permit in the county, there will be no difference. Yeah.
And there's an understanding of what the steps for each entity that they need to go through for those permitting processes when they walk into an office.
They are identical. So, yep.
Thank you.
Perfect. Okay. Well, I think we've covered it, but I really appreciate that presentation. So thank you. Appreciative of all your work.
Thank you so much. I hope you guys have a wonderful day.
Thanks, Tyson.
Yeah, I'm very proud of them. And like I said, they've worked very hard in bringing up codes and standards. So yeah, it's a pleasure to have people like that working here. Next one up is we're going to talk about airports. You may know Ashley Helms. She's been here for 2 years, about 6 years, a little over 6 years. And she's been doing a wonderful job leading the charge at the airport. So I'm going to turn it over to her to discuss a little bit about airports. There you go.
Welcome. There she is. Welcome, Ashley.
Hello, good morning, board. Thanks
Good
for
morning.
having us here today. Okay. So with this relatively small staff, we have 6 employees in the airport division currently. We operate and maintain 4 airports across the county. Bishop Airport is the largest of our airports. That's where our staff is based every day. But we do also have smaller airports in Independence, Lone Pine, and out in the Southeast County in Shoshone. Next slide. So a little bit about each of our airports. We did, as of December of 2021, begin commercial service at the Bishop Airport. We are currently served by United Express. This winter, we have we have a daily flight to Denver, and we have a 5 to 6 day a week flight to San Francisco. That began on December 15th and will run through March 25th. And then we have a couple more weekends of San Francisco service on Saturday, Sunday. So that'll take us to April 9th. Our summer service will start tentatively on June 24th. And that will be either 6 or 7 days a week to San Francisco, running through Labor Day. And we are still negotiating whether that'll continue through the fall. We do also have multiple daily cargo flights coming into the Bishop Airport. We are the hub for all air cargo operations through the Eastern Sierra. So FedEx and UPS both operate there daily. And we do see a lot of military activity at that airport as well. It's mostly rotary aircraft, but they come in for fueling quite a lot. It's a crowd pleaser, I guess, when folks are at the airport, when the big Chinooks come in or the Osprey. It's pretty cool. Yes. We also have 42 private T hangars and 3 commercial hangars at the airport, and a vibrant general aviation community, which is growing by the day, it seems. We have a flight club that started up about 1.5 years ago, and there are, I believe, currently 4 certified flight instructors who are teaching lessons, and I am amazed how many students they have from Inyo and some from Mono County. It's really exciting to see. The Independence Airport is the base for a U.S. Forest Service BLM helitack crew. They are there year-round and have barracks. They stay on site, and they're there staged, ready to respond to any fire incidents in the area. The Lone Pine Death Valley Airport has 16 hangars and a growing general aviation community who's very enthusiastic about the airport. It's been great to see just in the last couple of years, we've gone from having quite a few of our hangars used for general storage, not for aircraft necessarily, to being nearly full of aircraft, and quite a few of them locally based. So it's wonderful to see. We also, there is now a newly created nonprofit called the Friends of the Lone Pine Airport that was created by a few local residents in Lone Pine, and they have a wonderful vision for what they want the airport there to be. So we're actually meeting down there with Nate and the founders next week or the week after. What else? Oh, and in August of last year, the county entered into an operating agreement with the newly formed Skydive Mount Whitney, which is their main base of operations is as Skydive Yosemite based in Mariposa, but they will be coming over here for week or two chunks to offer tandem skydiving in Lone Pine. So we're pretty excited about a new business coming to the Lone Pine area and to the airport specifically. It's great to have a lot of new interest in the Lone Pine Airport. The Friends of the Lone Pine Airport also hosts an annual fly-in event, which happens in October. This last October, they had 45 attendees from around the country. They had some folks from as far as Nebraska, I believe. And then the Shoshone Airport out in the Southeast County. It's a small airport. There aren't any facilities there. There are a couple tie downs and people fly in and hop across the street to go to one of the local restaurants or maybe to go visit the Tacoma Hot Springs or other things in the area. Next slide. Oh,
Are there enough hangars? What's the demand like for the hangars?
oh yeah, I was going to mention that for Bishop. So we've always had some wait list, some number of folks on the wait list in Bishop. That wait list is growing quite a bit right now. We have some folks who have recently gone through the flight training, completed, gotten their pilot's license, purchased an aircraft, and one fellow has his on a tied down at the airport, and he's waiting. He's next in line for a hangar. He's very excited. We are looking into the possibility of building some new hangars at the Lone Pine Airport through potentially a loan from the California Division of Aeronautics. Yeah, so in Bishop, there is definitely a demand for more aircraft storage. In Lone Pine, we do still have a couple of hangars that don't have aircraft. We are in the process of moving one storage hangar tenant out to make room for a new aircraft. But currently we would wait down there until we are completely full with aircraft. Oh, and I was going to say the photo on top is our inaugural flight last year. And you can't see our fire truck on the side, but that's what's shooting the stream of water over the plane. And then the picture on the bottom was a joint project this fall with the City of Bishop, who helped us out with some landscaping and installing a drainage structure in the baggage claim area. That drainage structure came very much in handy a couple of weeks ago. Folks would have been wading through water to get their bags otherwise. So very thankful for the cooperation with the city on that project.
Thanks.
Next slide. A few more photos from the Bishop Airport. That is our beautiful fire truck up in the right-hand corner. It was purchased with a federal grant that we received in 2020. It was 100% federal funding, and the grant was enough to allow us to buy personal protective equipment for firefighters and some forcible entry equipment, basically everything we needed to operate the truck. And the other two photos are from the terminal expansion project that was carried out last fall to house the TSA checkpoint and the waiting area for our commercial passengers. Next slide. So a few upcoming projects at our airports in the coming years. The Bishop Airport, our next big project will be the runway 1230 safety area improvement project. That project mostly involves grading at the runway ends and relocating a fence line. And we are in the process of completing the federal and state environmental documents at the moment. The draft of those documents will be put out for public review sometime this summer, probably in June. In 2024, we will be starting an airport master plan update. The last time a master plan update was done for the Bishop Airport was in 2002. So quite a lot has changed since then. A master plan is a 20-year planning vision document. So we're really looking forward to that process to, now that we have commercial service and we'll have a few years of passenger data, we'll be able to really plan out where we're going in the next 20 years and what facilities need to be improved and what we expect the growth to look like. And then at some point in the future, hopefully in the next 5 years, we'll begin working on a commercial service terminal and ramp, which will be in a separate location from our current terminal. Our current terminal will go back to just being general aviation, and we'll have more space to separate the two activities, which will be beneficial for the operation in general. We did find out just a few weeks ago that we received a $2 million for the terminal project in the 2023 federal appropriations. So it was in there as a congressionally directed spending from Congressman Obernolte. Okay. And so we're still learning the details of that. It's going to be funneled through, we think, the airport improvement program through the FAA. But I think they're working out the details of exactly when those grants will come out. But that lets us get started on some of the planning and environmental work that would need to be done before we're ready to actually start that project.
Do we have any guess on what the total budget of that's going to be?
I have a rough idea. Our new consultants, they will be over the next year or so, they'll be doing a terminal area study that will look at what our demands will be, and that will give us a better figure there. But 20 million, it's a lot. And so, and building a whole new ramp too, and we're hoping to build a concrete ramp, which is the most appropriate for commercial service. It's a big undertaking, but we're looking at ways, if we needed to potentially phase that growth so that it would allow us to at least open and some of the expansion can happen down the road. At the Lone Pine Death Valley Airport, we will be completing a taxiway rehabilitation project. This fall, we have the grant application in right now, and we're just working through the design. We'll be going out to bid probably sometime in April, maybe March. And the taxiway that we'll be working on, that photo on the bottom is the Lone Pine Airport. We will be doing work on the parallel taxiway to the runway, which is out to the east of the hangar area. And then at the Independence Airport, which is shown in the upper photo, we have a runway rehabilitation project planned for 2025. That aerial photo is from 2015 when we last did a runway rehab project. So because of the classification of that airport, we're only eligible for runway rehab projects every 10 years. So we have that programmed again coming up here in a few more years. Next slide, I think that's it. Any questions about the airport? Go ahead.
The Lone Pine Airport, the taxiway, is there a lighting project out there, or is that part of this, or is that still coming?
That is still coming. So there are a couple complications with accepting federal grants right now at the Lone Pine Airport because our lease only has our lease with DWP only has a few years left on it. So the project we'll be doing on that taxiway, because of the scope of the project, it only has they consider it to have a 3-year useful life, which we can make work before our lease ends. But a lighting project would have a longer term useful life. So that'll have to wait until our lease is renewed or we have an easement.
Great, and then I'll just remind you, you have an airport.
It's not ours
It's
though.
not ours, but it's still in
It is in Inyo County. And I get to go visit it when I go to Shoshone with our state inspector, we stop by and see it, but it's privately run.
Yeah, but it's a pretty active little airport.
Yeah.
I think, at least the time.
Yeah.
Questions, comments?
I just want to make one quick comment and that I've been working with Ashley and we'll be bringing something back to your topic of air service as well as airports probably over the next couple of months. In conjunction with Town of Hamlet Lakes, you know, talking a little bit more about the regional nature of some of that work.
Thanks, Nate.
Great presentation. Thank you, Ashley. Mike, I'm going to just intervene real quick. What's your thought on delaying for a bit, or would you prefer to keep going? We got behind on our schedule, and we're happy to keep going. But we
have till
well, I just want to give you guys plenty of time. I'm sorry. I thought it was 11.
That's okay.
Okay, I just want to make sure I hear all the CAL FIRE people out there.
No, that's fine. So,
Keep going.
we'll keep going. 2 down, 8 to go.
Yeah, we want to give you all the time you want. So.
So the next one is going to be a consecutive few slides of building maintenance, water systems, parks and rec. That's all under Mr. Chris Cox. As I mentioned, Chris has been doing a wonderful job taking care of the facilities. So we recently merged these as one operation. It was still dialing it in, so we're kind of all hands on deck helping him through it. He's going to come up and discuss the next several slides. So with that, I'd like to introduce Mr. Cox.
Welcome. Thank you, Chris.
Good morning, Ward.
Good morning.
I'm new to this, so this will be interesting. I think I missed one of the key meetings because I ended up with 3 divisions, but they really tie together coming from building and maintenance. They all have facilities. We already oversee water with in our domestic systems. So Parks has water. So there's a lot of things that tie together. So we'll see where we get. I think we're trying to sort of come up with a game plan. We have a lot of new regulations in water that affect domestic and parks. So we're trying to get a handle on that. We're trying to up our curb appeal in our parks. You know, you guys have allowed us to add more legs on the ground. So we're hoping we can get a lot of the painting, you know, just get things to look a little better when you drive in. I think that may be one of the first introductions to a lot of our visitors is parks, really. Yeah, so building and maintenance, we take Bishop to Tacopa. I think they say we have 95. I think I've lost count of facilities we take care of. It's sort of 3 different levels. We have a number of work orders. I count 1,200 work orders. Work orders generally come from employees. We take care of pretty much on a daily basis. Deferred maintenance projects come from department heads, and they're just a larger scope. And then we have maintenance, which is more of what we from building and maintenance think needs to be done. It's more on a mechanical nature. HVAC, heating, and that type of thing. We have, there's 6 of us. We just found out our newest is coming on the 15th of February, and then we're hoping the first part of February we start interviewing for my position, which will help out a bunch. Position.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they can give up a couple.
Everybody got nervous for a minute.
Yeah. So that's where that sits as far as our overall game plan. We can go to the next slide. This pie chart sort of shows the maze of work orders and where they come from. The largest shot is the new building, the Quilter Cobb building. And that really was just a lot of the move in. Small changes, move in, getting departments set up so they could serve the public. We do have some issues that we've been working through on the building that we weren't expecting, and we're making some headway on that with the original property management group. So hopefully things simplify and that 20% starts to drop on that build. The jail being 24/7 will always be 18, 20%. It's endless just gets a lot of hard use. It's 30 years old now, so yeah, hard to believe that was our newest building.
Seemed like
And then the courthouse and annex along with Coulter Cobb, that's just where, 90% of our employees work, so that'll probably be pretty consistent. All right, we jump to the next slide. This is just a chart showing deferred maintenance projects. It sort of defines what they are. They're all larger in scope. Generally, probably 80% of deferred maintenance goes out to a contractor or subcontractor. Just because of the calendar, the length of time. We find building and maintenance, if we get pulled away for more than 4 or 5 days on a project, we don't catch up. So. All right, next. The deferred maintenance projects have happened in the last year. The ag building, this is where we get involved a lot, is a new building's put up by a contractor. You don't always think of everything that you need. So we come in, we did a safety rail here for the mezzanine. Year before that, we put a heater in for the workshop because that wasn't provided. We spent 3 months at the airport renovating, changing up the old ESTA office so that TSA and United check-in could be part of it. Collaborated with Ashley and Steve. They sort of kept all the red tape out of our way so we could just show up and go to work, do what we know how to do. And yeah, it turned out great. I mean, that's looking into the United area, and that was 3 separate offices originally. Completely different. Next. Couple more shots. Wellness Center in Bishop. We contracted out, had new perimeter fencing put in for security and privacy. Bathroom, Bishop Senior Center. That's actually not Bishop Senior Center, but it works. We pretty much in-house have done all the ADA upgrades in the county. Bathrooms, showers, that type of thing. And we've sort of prioritized on buildings that already had ramp or ADA access. They were the priority to get bathrooms that also met ADA, drinking fountains that met ADA, that type of thing. Next. This is the courthouse. We've started to put time in there, trying to just bring things up. It's long overdue as far as paint, carpet, and that type of thing. We had the common area painted maybe 5 years ago. And we've been trying to work in conjunction with providing a secure separation between public and employees. So the left-hand slide just shows the public side of the treasurer's office. We've done that at auditor's, treasurer's office, public works, assessor's office. Makes the employees feel a little more comfortable with that separation. I think it came out of a countywide training, trying to give people some insights of how to stay safe and still offer the public what they require, what they need. Next. Our original courthouse and our newest building, the Coulter Cobb building. The biggest jump forward on the courthouse this year is we're going through the design mode on a new HVAC system, which will eliminate window ACs and I think be a lot more energy efficient. And sort of follow the state protocol of trying to go to heat pumps and get away from propane. So that is coming around pretty quick. I think by the end of March, hopefully we have a biddable set of plans and can go forward. We have that includes I think an $850,000 grant from Great Basin, which will probably cover at least 2/3 of that project, so it's a plus. And QCOG will just continue trying to take care of issues, but I think we're seeing some light at the end of the tunnel.
It's good to hear.
Gonna make the courthouse look a lot better too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then with the new landscape, yeah, it's gonna dress it up. It'll be nice. And then we hope to take the next step of upgrading windows so that we get a little more efficiency that way. That's the package. All right, next. Next foster child. Actually, parks from an infrastructure standpoint is really pretty solid. John Jones, what he inherited 7 or 8 years ago was it was a disaster. I mean, we got to hear about it because John was our supervisor and he moved to park, so he would always give us a little imprint. And so he's upgraded a lot of the infrastructure that you really don't see when you go to the parks. So our next step is trying to bring up what the visitor sees and try to address it and make it look better and be a little more efficient. But this is a list of all the parks and campgrounds that are in the county. The only big one that I don't see up there is Tacopa, which can handle up to 300 campers, but needs a lot of work. But like I said, take a day at a time.
Yeah.
Just give some examples north to south of campgrounds and all. Diaz right now is getting a new water distribution system, which has been a real headache down there. Lots of repairs. They had to go chlorinate the water system because of it, and this will upgrade that, and it'll give water all the way to the far north end of the park for camping and that type of thing, and allow us to hopefully add restrooms, maybe a shower back there. We'll have upgraded water capacity. Next. The one thing you do see in these is the greenery, and that's a big part of parks. And that is a hardship they're always faced with, and adding a couple more people for maintenance is really going to help, because they have 8 months where it's just taking care of campers, picnic, trash, mowing, irrigation. There's no extra time. And so we're hoping with this additional, we can have a couple, at least 1 or 2 floating that can keep up on other issues. Water systems. The county took over water in Independence, Lone Pine, and Laws, over 30 years ago. It's an old system. DWP did some upgrades on it, but water is one of those things that everything's fine until it doesn't come out of the tap. And we do have some issues with these water systems that we're seeking funding to do some major infrastructure improvements. I think that'd be a separate meeting to sit down and just get some direction, see where we can go. But we do have it, just really because of age of the system and new water requirements by the state. Because now the state oversees water, it's no longer environmental health. So it's a good, and there's more, I think there's more resources available because of that, but they're not here locally to work with it, so it's a little tougher. Catherine Patterson is, besides myself, we both are D2 operators, but she is the person that handles the day-to-day, the month-to-month, the year-to-year, all the state requirements from sampling. It's sort of like what the airport deals with FAA. You get these state and federal agencies, there's an endless run of paperwork, and without her, we would be going backwards. She's been great. Okay, next. This slide shows, which, I don't know, monthly. You have, water doesn't really have a calendar. It just happens. You get a report of a puddle or a geyser and you have to react. We had one under 395 last year, which had everybody jumping in Lone Pine. But what's great about this is it shows, we collaborate between different departments to handle these repairs. Road provides an operator and equipment so we can expose a repair. Building and maintenance does the repair because we're the operators. And then they'll come back and bring the surface of the road back to a roadway and off we go. We're sorting out a grant that I think is coming our way for $500,000 for meter upgrades in Lone Pine, possibly in Independence, but Lone Pine is sort of the bullseye because we have a lot of road improvements coming on. Jackson is one, and then I guess there's another north-south roads in Lone Pine. So we would like to try to get service and meters sorted out so we're not going back on a nice clean roadway and having to open things up. So we're hoping this comes quick enough that we're able to go forward on that. Made it.
You did it. Good job.
Good. Are there any questions on any specifics?
I asked one, I have a couple, but I'll just shoot one out real quick. Just if you were to look at this from the 10,000 foot view, talk about deferred maintenance, but for instance, the pending grant for upgrading water systems or water meters and whatnot. Would you have any thoughts about some of the concerns maybe of infrastructure out in the future? We have a lot of community service districts and service areas in the county, and I go to all these meetings and all I hear about is concerns for meeting state regulations for drinking water or wastewater that's coming in 2030. And how are we going to upgrade? So, there's a lot of concern about, and I know that's not your responsibility, but we have a few water systems, but we also have parks. I think about the wells at Mill Pond or whatever. Are there, let alone all the buildings, do you have a view? I don't know if it makes any sense, but a big picture view of where we might be thinking, planning 10 years out, 15 years out.
Well, I mean, water probably has the most liability. I think campgrounds are a little bit ahead because they put in 5 new wells 3 years ago. They're not all developed, but that's the direction they're going to be going.
Yeah.
So that's going to guarantee them a good water supply. I mean, our 3 domestic systems, DWP provides water. We have excellent quality of water, but they provide water. So they have to deal with the physical aspects of that. We don't, we deal with the distribution side.
Okay.
But in parks and in Bishop Airport, we are also the supplier of water. So all the liability falls back on us.
Okay.
I know at the airport in Bishop, we've actually, with the new terminal, that type of development, trying to figure out water wise. We have an old water well there that's came from the 40s. It was military. We need, to upgrade that or even to tie into City of Bishop for water as that facility grows, because what we have right now won't maintain that.
Yeah.
But water's the most. Lone Pine has some big needs, but a lot of it is just age. It's just what it is. As it gets older, the environment's hard on it. And then the other hardship is just dollars. There's small water systems. You only have so many rate payers. So looking outside for funding sources, that type of thing. I think other than that, we've made some big jumps. We were really behind in heating and cooling. Clint first was Public Works. He brought me in, asked me on one hand what we needed to replace. And I said, I can tell you on one hand what we don't need to replace. And he committed to, we've done a lot with his commitment, but we still have a ways to go. And there are regulations pushing it too. R22 refrigerant, which was the refrigerant, 15 years ago. And now it's the asbestos word for refrigeration. But we still have a lot of systems that have it. And so they're working, but we're going to have to start to address those. So those are probably the two of the bigger. I mean, we can get the Quilter building up and running. That's a lot better than having 6 or 8 rental leases or rentals that we had no control over other than band-aiding them. So that was a plus.
Sure.
Yeah, so I think we
Yeah.
gotta just look a day ahead at a time and but the state regulations are true, and we're just, as these small water districts, we're in the same boat. I mean, we're worried too. It's just, there's a lot of change that we don't control. It's just being regulated, and we're gonna have to find means of, finding a budget to accomplish it.
Okay, thank you for that. Go ahead.
Well, thanks for pointing out that about the Quilter building, because I know it's been a struggle, but then also gotta remember what we were doing before. And
Yeah.
all those rentals, all over town. And so, you need to always kind of remember why we did that.
Committed to it.
And get it that, we're working through some things probably, and hopefully it gets less and less. And I really think remembering that's why that's going on is important. So thanks for that. Also, you look at your parks and campgrounds across 10,000 square miles of county and trying to maintain those. I just really appreciate you talking about trying to upgrade them some. I think I know the challenge and, just in distance and scope, trying to have people to go to all of those. And really,
Our Thule cutter arrived Friday. So they're up and running at Mill Pond. So that'll be.
Everybody's excited about that.
close. Yeah.
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 Yeah, no, I have.
Yeah, it almost didn't get here.
Is that right? Good stuff.
Yeah, the driver that brought it here, his GPS took him over Westgard.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
gosh. Oh, my word.
Dude, literally throwing boat anchors out the door, himself back
Oh,
Yeah.
from Florida. So he'll be talking about this.
yeah.
Yep,
Oh, my
that
God.
was it.
Just on the Lone water system, the view of trying to get stuff done underground, but before we do some upgrades there at roads is really important. The tank, I think we get a congressional earmark for a tank. How critical is the tank? And I guess.
Well, there's 3 tiers to it. One, Rural Water, a state agency that is a resource for small water decisions. We had an energy engineering overview of our systems with them. And Lone Pine does not meet fire suppression with its stored water. So that's one direction. And the tank we have has a sidewall leak. But you can't fix that till you have another tank. It's a catch-22. And then the main water line goes through the earthquake fault zone. So it'd be nice to try to get that separated out like what happened in Independence.
Okay, so is that the rationale behind putting a tank on this side?
Well, I don't know. The tank that we're quoted is not of the size that would be up on the hill. But we do have other concerns on that side of the water system. We have a contactor that is used to establish your chlorine rate in your system. That's what it went in the 40s or 50s. That's on its last leg. And we have chlorination ports that also says, I think in some ways, the first tier might be working on what's down below in town, take care of that, and then try to get funding for a larger project up on the hill. But
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah.
there's no quick fix. I
Right.
mean, Katie and I have been talking, Katie's been on it. You know, when we put the new line in Independence, we had to provide a backup system, which was just well fed. It didn't have the capacity of tanks.
Yeah.
So we're going to use that system. We're trying to make that system so it's able to work in Lone Pine in case we have an interruption or something. But that's where Katie's the glue is. She's always thinking. But we're, you know, so we're trying to get ahead of that ball. And then we just have to, I mean, the funding, if we had money, we could get things done tomorrow, but it's just difficult with all these, you know, we're in the same boat with all these small water division districts is that you only have so many ratepayers. It's not like you have 20 million and everyone pays an extra $1.
Yeah.
That's not what it would be. Everyone would be paying $500 extra, a year's worth of rates to even begin. So,
Thanks, Chris.
Yep. okay, thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to say, you know, I can't even imagine maintaining the facilities. It's a monumental task.
At times a little daunting, but you have a lot of dedicated people here that are trying to deliver this. And to answer your question a little bit, we did have a master plan on the water, so we are identifying redundancies, aging systems, and then natural disasters. Those are all kind of driving an additional tank. You know, we need one for a redundancy for several purposes. So
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure I understood that. And I get why. I think there could be issues with trying to put a tank down in town that's up in the air. You know, the view of Whitney is something that people will be concerned about, but I also, you know, think about that we got to figure out some way to have enough water for fire protection and
a redundant system, yeah. And we'll be sensitive, obviously, when we get fortunate enough to get the funding, we'll talk about the best way to position, and, you know, I'm sure there'll be community input.
Yeah.
So I think he did a wonderful job, and, you know, I know it's not comfortable, and I do appreciate staff, you know, some of them are not used to doing this, but this is giving an opportunity and also give you an opportunity to see who the players are or our staff. The next section is Local Transportation Commission. I said Justine's been doing a wonderful job, but I'm also going to have in tandem have John Pinkney, which I forgot to introduce at the very beginning, is now the assistant director. He was leading the charge when Courtney left transportation. He took the reins, did a wonderful job. I said we've been fortunate that he has been here to help along the way and continues to do so. So, John, I'll start you off.
I think it's still morning. Good morning, board. John Pinkney, Assistant Director, Public Works. Mike gave me a little introduction. I've been here working on a bunch of different projects. I originally hired on as a civil engineer, working for Public Works, then took the transportation planner position when Courtney created that vacancy, then moved into a deputy director position, and then took the assistant director. I've worked all over the country before I've been here. I've worked in the oil fields. I've banged nails, built bridges over in Washington, D.C. Done a little bit of everything. Anytime that I was out and about, I'd tell people if I had to choose one place, the Owens Valley is the place to be. So in 2017, when Ashley told me that there was a position open at Public Works, I was fortunate enough to apply for that and end up working here. The transportation planner position was interesting because in prior positions, I had worked doing a lot of finance and construction and working as the executive vice president of a decent sized custom firm where we worked all over the country, and money and grants and that sort of thing and funding is really where you have to start when you're looking at improving your facilities and when you're looking at how you pull together a vision. The LTC gets very little recognition. Most people don't even understand what it is the local transportation does, but from a federal level, the commission throughout the United States, we're mandated to have regional transportation planning agencies that offer the public an ability to offer their opinion to their supervisors and then to the commission. And then the commission really has oversight of the funding in almost any transportation or transit related activity in Inyo County. So I grabbed a hold of that process in 2018 when I took over there. And then when your board gave me a promotion to deputy director, Justine Cox stepped in, and we've done a lot of really important work, and we still seek to find more grant funding and direct which way these projects come to fruition. So I'd like Justine to come up and give you the whole rundown on the transportation, but I'm still actively involved, and it's been a lot of fun.
Thanks, John.
Good morning, Justine Cox, Transportation Planner in Inyo County and the LTC, the Local Transportation Commission. And I do want to echo what Mike was saying. I really appreciate both Mike and John's mentorship. I was sort of offered this opportunity unexpectedly, and I was nervous about it, but they've been very helpful. Thank you. So as John was saying, the LTC is the lead planning and administrative agency for projects and programs in Inyo County. The Inyo County LTC was established in 1972 pursuant to state government code, I need my glasses, 29535. You can stay on that slide there. The overarching mission of the LTC is to identify and prioritize transportation projects, which also means, as John was saying, that the commission drives literally the direction of transportation and road funding for the county. And because Nolan chose that beautiful photo bus coming out of the beautiful fall foliage, I want to say also the LTC also administers this transit funding, which includes, it's not limited to, the local transportation funds, state transit assistance, and state of good repair. And the vast majority of these funds have historically primarily gone to ESTA as the only transit operator in our area. There are other transit providers, but ESTA is the operator. And the structure of the LTC, I'll start with the commissioners. There are 6 LTC commissioners, and 3 are appointed by your board, and 3 are appointed by the city of Bishop. And 2 of these are members from the county at large, so the North and South County. And then the staff, as you see, there's only 3. There's the executive director, which is Mike, the planner, transportation planner, which is myself. And we have a newly appointed secretary named Brandon Bogdanex, who's been in the county for many years. But we've recently absorbed him in public works, and I'm super excited to have him. And the next slide can go, please. So this slide kind of gives an overview, high-level overview of what the functions are of the LTC, as well as some recent accomplishments. I wish I had more photos, sort of photo empty LTC. We work a lot in the background. We're doing the nitty-gritty behind things, so sorry about all that from the list. But so as far as functions go, transit funds that the LTC is mandated by the Transit Development Act to administer transit funding, which primarily is allocated to ESTA, as I mentioned earlier. The next required plan is the Regional Transportation Plan, and we're going to be working on one this year. Every 4 years, the LTC is required by state law to update its Regional Transportation Plan, which is a long-range planning document that establishes regional priorities for all modes of transportation over a 20-year time horizon. And it's the all-encompassing plan that serves as a blueprint for the region's transportation system. It identifies the transportation needs of the county and creates a framework for project priorities. The OWP, Overall Work Program. That is an annual document that staff prepares. It serves as a grant application for planning funds, as well as an agreement between the LTC and Caltrans. These planning funds fund a variety of activities for staff, which is primarily me, to conduct the functions of the LTC, preparing for meetings and preparing these plans and updates to plans and things like that. The STIP, the Statewide Transportation Improvement Program. This is a 5-year plan created by the state that is later adopted by the California Transportation Commission. And this plan directs state transportation funds for state highway improvements, regional highways, and transit improvements. Now, as a rural RTPA, Regional Transportation Planning Agency, the LTC needs to review this when this comes out and ensure that the rural perspective is conveyed in the STIP and comments if necessary. No, I'm still going. Okay. And the RTIP, the Regional Transportation Improvement Plan. So again, we're updating this year too. So biennially, the LTC identifies its priorities for transportation projects within a 5-year time horizon in this RTIP plan. The purpose of the RTIP is to incrementally implement the priorities identified in the 20-year RTP that is done every 4 years. And the CTC later adopts, California Transportation Commission, sorry for the acronyms, later adopts the region's RTIP and incorporates it into the statewide STIP. So they all tie together. So they're pretty detailed. And obviously the LTC is always looking for funding opportunities to address transportation system needs. And some of the following accomplishments include some of our successful grants. Before I start on those, the Tri-County U is listed first, MOU is listed first. And this memorandum of understanding was established like 2 decades ago in the late 90s between Inyo County, Mono County, and Kern County COG. And it began in the, and the purpose of it was to accomplish several safety improvement projects along the 395 corridor. And they did this by pooling their STIP funding. And by pooling their STIP funding, they were able to leverage state funding, which allowed them to augment the total funding to accomplish mutually beneficial projects. The Olancho Cartago 4-lane project is a result of this MOU. Also, the widening of the Freeman Gulch 4-lane project near Ridgecrest is another. And, this MOU is, oh gosh, what do I want to say? It's basically expired, but we are still working together among the 3 counties to, they are committed to finishing the final stretch of the 4 lanes on the Highway 14 south of Ridgecrest. And I'll just talk about a couple of the FLAP grants. South Lake Road, FLAP is a federal lands access program. And you're probably aware of the South Lake Road project, which was recently constructed in 2019 or 20, I'm not really sure, but pretty recently. Also Whitney Portal Road, also won a FLAP grant that was reconstructed back in 2015. And then we were recently notified in January that we have been awarded $15 million in FLAP funding to rehabilitate the state line road from Death Valley Junction to the Nevada state border. That is also linking up with also another FLAP grant with Nye County, Bell Vista Road, I believe. And so, these FLAP grants have been very helpful to Inyo County over the many years. I'll just talk about the meetings. We have monthly meetings on the 3rd Wednesdays of every month. They have been virtual for a couple of years now, but we're converting to in person, and they'll alternate between Bishop and Independence, and they are on the 3rd Wednesday of every month. I think I said that. They also serve as public hearings where members of the public can express their interest or concerns regarding transportation issues. Next slide. Photos, I think. Well, that's an illustration of the upcoming reconstruction of the state line road between Death Valley and Junction and Nevada state border. The same thing about Pageant. Pretty exciting.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, next slide. No one found some pictures, thank you. Just a nice illustration of the Whitney Portal Road reconstruction. Thanks to a FLAP grant. Any questions?
Justine, thank you. I just want to say, one of my first briefings I asked for was with John as transportation planner of the LTC. And you're right, it tends to be maybe overlooked. It's not as exciting as some things that county government does, but it is vital. And Justine, you're doing an awesome job.
Thank you.
Having worked with you now, and you keep us on track. The acronyms, let alone budget streams. Oh my gosh, it just takes a year just to figure some of those out.
It's like drinking water from a fire hose at first. Yeah. And it gets, settles in.
Yeah, I just was going to mention, you skipped over a lot of stuff, but I think the fact that you coordinate with multiple different agencies, State Line Road's just one example, South Lake Road's another one, where you coordinate to maximize dollars and almost exponentially grow dollars. I think it's really vital to what we do. And I think the other thing I wanted to mention, maybe if you could just give a shout out to the survey that's ongoing, if the public is listening, because people call and complain, fix my road. I go, well, let me tell you about it. We got to get the RTP updated.
Thank you.
We have the priorities, and then when we get the funding. So doesn't just happen like, so anyway.
Yeah, thank you. And I wanted to mention at our last meeting, but it ran so long. Yeah, so if you go to several, there's a survey QR code and Survey Monkey link on several locations. The Sierra Reader, I think Sierra del Sol, maybe in your register still.
I think so.
And then the Inyo County homepage. There's it's soliciting public input about the upcoming RTP, Regional Transportation Plan.
Yeah, and again, like John said, transportation funds, acronyms, and I put it on my social media page, but these are the times for people to weigh in on what they want to see happen in 5 years or more or less. And, we talk about all these projects. I hear about them all the time, whether it's in Rock Creek or Big Pine. And now is the time for people to get their input in on the priorities they want to see happen. So,
and it can, you can't, it's just so important. It is so important to get public input, not just tell the public what's happening, but we need to get their genuine, input about what they want to see for all of these plans. So, we're going to be updating our active transportation plan this year as well. I didn't talk about it, but that's going to be you'll be seeing the same things in the local publications.
Yeah,
those types of things.
And it's not just taking public comment for the sake of, checking the box. We took comment. It truly does. That's where people need to say, this is a project that needs to happen. And I also want to thank you for the work you've done to get educated on the active transportation planning, because these are grants that rural counties like ours don't always get, and yet we're pulling them down. We're probably going to be more successful than ever with you now being really part of that, thanks to John's mentorship. And the things people want, a lot of times the ATP funding that comes from. So I just want to give you that.
Oh, thanks so much.
Yeah, all you guys do great work. So thank you. Okay. Other comments or questions?
If you have any questions, please let me know.
I will.
I can reach out.
I'm just grateful to be part of the LTC now.
Oh, kind too.
So I will have questions in the future. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Justin. Yeah,
Thanks.
appreciate it. Okay. So we can't.
John Pinkney back again. The LTC, we're wrapping that up, but I think the amount of funding that flows through the LTC over the last decades is really interesting, but we are in a hole on our state funding because of all those large highway projects. So winning those grants is just crucial. We need to win more. And the fact that we won a $15 million grant this past year is awesome. And the fact that we won a $2 million sidewalk grant, several years ago, that's great. That money wouldn't be flowing without those grants, simply because this small county with our population base just isn't able to get the population allocation of funds in the state of California. I don't think we get full recognition for how many tourists come through here. And I don't think any of the formulaic distributions really do us justice, but we'll continue to try to win grants. And I think Justine is ideally focused on some of those things. So the next thing that we had to cover is engineering. I hired on initially as a assistant civil engineer with Inyo County. My background is as an engineer. Mike is our licensed engineer running public works, but overseeing the engineering division. As we've continued to move forward, we got fortunate enough to hire Greg Waters. Greg came to us, brought decades and decades of experience, and he's been a vital part of the team. He's going to run you through the engineering and just an overview of what it is we're doing within the engineering division. But it's a crucial part and touches all of the different divisions, because engineering is a resource that the LTC uses: solid waste, water, building and maintenance, airports, all of it. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Greg Waters, who is our senior engineer. I'll let him run you through that portion of it. Thank you.
Thank you.
John.
Welcome. Welcome.
Members of the board, CAO Greenberg and Councilor Vallejo, thank you very much. Get my folding teleprompter out. I've already been introduced, but we've got the Public Works engineering team is comprised of 4 engineers at this time. And we have approximately 60 projects in the queue. That comes out to about 125 hours a year per project. We've got how many open positions? 1, 2. We manage projects involving roads, bridges, guardrails, boat docks, potable water transmission, sewer treatment, deferred maintenance, parks, emergency power. And it takes us through a long path from identification of needs to notice of final completion. And through that process, we have to deal with a lot of regulatory agencies. And this is the toughest part of our job, is we deal with agencies such as Lahontan, Great Basin, Department of Fish and Wildlife, all great people, but the requirements are onerous, to say the least. We're currently migrating over to QuickBase with Nate Greenberg's direction, be able to provide real-time access to project status in a relational database, which will be a great tool. We've got the highest profile project right now is a North Round Valley Bridge, which is slated for completion in March 2023. Weather permitting. Right now, the concrete plant is shut down because of the cold weather, and they fell short of getting 3 mid-span diaphragms cast before they could start putting all the precast panels on. So right now it's a day-by-day thing, waiting for that plant to reopen. It may be reopened today. And then they can go forward to the next milestone, which will be placement of the concrete on the deck, right? Everything else will be infill after that.
I don't want to interrupt you, but
No, go ahead.
that has been an amazing task that you have stayed on top of. I mean, Pine Creek's a big drainage, don't get me wrong, but what you guys have had to do with contract, 40 foot deep pilings, I mean, what, 32.
44 feet.
Yeah, 44 feet deep, 32 piles.
I mean, at one time it was a wooden bridge. So, I mean, just, yeah. And talking about the agencies and kudos. I can't believe what you guys have done to get that, keep driving that. Wow.
Everything's easy once you get out of the ground, right? That's the problem, is getting through the rock and the water.
Yeah.
So, and we have the Diaz boat dock, which was recently completed, except for the ADA striping. We're waiting on warmer temperatures for that. And as soon as we get daytime temps over 32, or I'm sorry, nighttime temps over 32, we'll be able to paint that. And I want to speak to Tyson was talking about the 3D printed buildings.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I noticed on the roads that I'm waiting to see any day now is new technology to where we'll have autonomous road maintenance machines. You know, we got crack fill and all this other equipment, people out there manually doing this work. And what I'm waiting for is the laser guided autonomous crack fill, clean out crack fill, slurry seal,
machine that'll move autonomously. But the only thing is, if you get a notice to move your car,
You better move it.
you better move your car.
It's gonna go.
Right. So I think we're going to enjoy, along with the database in the field, we're going to enjoy some new technology, which isn't going to replace people.
Yeah.
It's going to enable people with great subjective thinking skills to do more important tasks and take care of more roads and projects at a lower price.
Be like a.
Exactly. Yeah, GIS guided. So maybe I have an idea here that we should
Hey,
get.
they have GIS guided tractors and levelers and everything else. That's
Okay.
real good for roads. So, yeah.
I was asked to keep this 3 to 5 minutes.
Oh.
So hopefully I made it.
Oh, you're doing great.
I'm gonna go through the next slide that shows a little animation of the bridge we built.
Yeah.
Looks a lot easier on the animation.
Showing the piles about to go in. Which finally got
Wow.
through.
Right. Abutment footings. Abutment walls.
And all that was precast and brought in.
No, those are working.
Yeah, these are cast in place concrete. I think it was precast. Was the girders
The girders.
They're what now, those are precast.
The girders, that's what I was thinking. Okay.
and then the deck panels that you'll see dropping in.
So we're right there with it, doing the diaphragm, which are spacers in between these
Yeah.
inverters.
Yeah.
That's where we're at right now.
Okay.
That's a milestone right there. That's the overtopping slab.
Mhm.
There you go.
Wow.
March 2023.
Yeah, I'm not gonna
Just
tell
like that.
everybody out there because I keep giving them a new date.
Yeah, slides go through. That's showing the before and after the South Lake project that we just completed.
Yeah, that's a beautiful road.
Is-
That's good.
Thank you, Greg.
Any questions?
Any questions on that?
Yeah, thanks, Greg.
Thank you.
How are we doing on time? To see we're pushing 11 or we have a hard stop at 11?
No, we don't. How much further do you have?
You said I had 2 more hours, right?
Yeah.
No.
We won't be hard, but you can keep going.
Solid waste, you just have just a couple, like, I think 3 more.
I'd like to give you plenty of time. And so I'm wondering about, would y'all be willing to take a break and come back?
I think we'd like to par through it if you guys are willing.
Okay.
Depends on how you guys feel. We're close.
Yeah, we've already informed CAL FIRE will be a few minutes late. So would that be if you had 15
I
minutes?
think we could do it in 15.
Okay.
We'll have everybody talk a little faster.
Okay. Well, we just want everybody to have time. I mean,
Yeah.
it's-
I appreciate it. There's a lot going,
Yeah.
So,
Okay, go for it.
all right, solid waste is our next one. As you all may know, Cap Aubrey, he is a recent deputy director in this position. And solid waste is also fairly new to the public works. So he's been doing a wonderful job taking care of the facilities, and I'm going to let him speak to it right now.
Welcome, Cap.
Good morning, Board. Solid waste, we have 14 employees. Right now we have, it shows 2 vacant equipment operators. We only have 1. We had a recent transfer from Rhodes, which was the first time ever solid waste has got a person from Rhodes. They always take ours. We have 1 recent gate attendant vacancy. We have 7. Sorry, let me start over. We have 3 operating landfills. One's open 7 days a week, Bishop. Independence and Lone Pine. Lone Pine we recently went to 5 days a week, which has really helped with our regulators, our daily tonnage, and really helped the constituents out there, availability of the landfill. Transfer stations, we only have 1 manned transfer station, which is Big Pine. All the other transfer stations throughout the South County are not manned. Next slide, please. That just shows a map. It's kind of like building a safety. Everyone else, our county's a huge county, so it's a lot of time to go all the way through all of our locations. Next slide. Regulatory compliance, we're probably the heaviest regulatory compliance department there is.
Regulated.
Equipment wise, we are doing really good on our equipment. 2 years ago, we came to the board and started an equipment replacement policy or plan. And it's worked out very nice. It's working very good. We're planned out to about 18 years right now. We're putting a set amount into our budget every year. So. Next slide. That's our sewer ponds. In Bishop, we have 4 sewer ponds. They're just evaporation ponds that they serve all of Inyo County and Bono County, those sewer ponds. The other one's just our newly formed ash pit we put in Bishop. Next slide. That's from our last storm. All of our landfills get highly damaged by storms. So this is Bishop. Lone Pine and Independence actually did pretty well through them. Tacoma Shoshone got a little bit of damage. Shane Riley that works for Public Works is a great resource for us out there. So he keeps me from having to travel out there so much and takes care of a lot of our stuff out there. Next slide. Oh, that's road. I think we missed one slide. There was a slide of the excavator up there that was crushing concrete.
Yeah.
There we go. That one. I'm in the excavator there. But I don't know my boss. I was in the equipment. Recycling is a big part of solid waste. We do every program that's available through Cal Recycle for recycling. Concrete, we brought in about 10 years ago to start crushing concrete. We crush it into a class 2 base, make available to the public, to fix driveways. We use a lot of it for construction material at ours also. And I've recently offered it to the parks also to utilize it on their roads, clean up some of the park roads. This time we're going to crush 19,000 tons is what we collected in the last 2.5 years. So, and the first time we did it was 14,000. So that's 33,000 tons in approximately 7 years that has been kept out of the landfill.
Wow.
So
Wow.
it's a very good program. It's working.
It's gonna be the life.
I know diversion is always, have a constant new diversion goals, is that right, every year?
Yep.
And crushing concrete is gotta help some tonnage and weight and diversion. Is it a challenge to say increase those numbers, or are we able to meet those regularly, or how is it?
We're a little below on our diversion numbers now. I think the biggest challenge we have is, and I think Chris brought it up earlier about tourism, is we don't get any credits for tourism. So the way they figure our numbers, they go off our population, around 19,000, and they want us to be at a goal of 5.5 pounds per day, per person. We're averaging about 7.1, which is really good when you consider that's all of Death Valley. I mean, it's our whole county, and just the tourism we get, even on a President's Weekend or a holiday weekend at Mammoth, you're talking 30,000 people that are dumping trash at every gas station. So Cal Recycle's been working with us on that. I recently brought that to their attention, trying to get more of a waiver for that, or at least
Or something.
yeah, at least acknowledge,
Yeah.
the amount of trash that we're doing. And they've been very good with this right now. And we're just kind of in the preliminary stage of working through that right now.
It's tougher with transfer stations, right? We don't really, you can't necessarily weigh things the same way we do with the land.
Exactly. So it's all estimation.
I see.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, good.
Any other
Lots of questions,
questions?
comments? Want to hear more from you. So anything else you want to tell us?
Nope. I'm done talking trash. So.
Well, kudos on the capital replacement program, because with vehicles carving out, we don't want to be in that bind in 2035 when the whole fleet has to be, or whatever the dates are.
Exactly.
Yeah, good job.
Thank
Now,
you.
You answered my question with that comment was what is our replacement rate on the vehicles at the dump. So thank you, Cap, for working that out. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, and I guess I'll just say, you know, your creativeness and intuitive fixing the problems is really appreciated. I just think back to the water scent issue and, you know, removing hazardous waste. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're getting close.
Yeah, I know.
Thank you, Kat. I do say, now that the solid waste has been under our department, I've been made more aware just of the recycling, that even started altering the way I do things now. I used to save, you know, all the batteries in a bag to go recycle. They don't go into the trash. It's amazing how much just the batteries that we create. So I went to all rechargeable and cardboard. It's just amazing. Before, didn't think about some of the cardboard, just to start saving it. So it's altering the way I do things to help, you know, to extend the life of our landfills. So next up be Shannon Platt. He recently also is a deputy director, went up superintendent, been here for 29 years. So he's doing a wonderful job leading the road department. I'm going to turn it over to Shannon right now.
Good morning, board.
Good morning.
You've all been seeing quite a bit or hearing about me lately. So I think I can get mine down to 2 minutes, 15 seconds is my bet back there with Chris. First slide shows us we do have 27 full-time positions within the road department itself. We do have 5 seasonal positions. One of the latest challenges we are finding is getting people to come to work. We just went over this yesterday. I just scratched 2 more names this morning that we're having to backfill. So that's a recent challenge, and bringing on people that already have a Class A license, already have some kind of equipment operating skills. We're having a hard time finding them. So that's been a challenge, but we are working. We'll send guys out to get their Class A. We will help train up a new guy. If he's willing to show up and run a shovel, I'll show him how to run a backhoe. That's the kind of spirit I need. I need these guys who are willing to work. So that's the latest recent challenge. Darcy. Thank you. Hey, like I said, we do got 27 guys out there. We are responsible for 1,000 miles of road. And we are responsible for the entire road, bottom to top. So if there's any pruning needs to go on, any patching, any complete rebuilds, we do get involved. And we also maintain, one of the things that people don't think about is we maintain signage on roads. That all falls to your county road department. And we have a good sign shop. We buy some pre-made, but we do maintain all the signage. And we also maintain the stuff people never see: drainage pipes, storm drains, all that stuff underneath the road. The majority of the stuff underneath the road, we are responsible for that. Next slide, please, Darcy. On top of just our regular routine maintenance, our phones do ring 24/7, and we do respond to incidents like our shown here, flood up on Pine Creek or rock slide on Whitney Portal. We do work our 40 hours a week, but when something happens, the guys are out there up to 14 hours a day, 6-7 days a week. They can work 80 hours a day. 80 hours in 8 days is the new rule. And we did that the last storm. We were sending guys home halfway through. Hopefully you guys didn't recognize that because we were able to cover it with other people. But the rules do hit us hard in the middle of the storm. So we respond to all kinds of stuff out there on the road. And as Chris pointed out, we do work cooperatively with other agencies, like for water line repairs. Got a pretty good program going there right now. Next slide, please. Just a couple of examples. Replacing a pipe out there on North Mountain Valley Road. Grading Surprise Canyon. I'd be surprised if most people in Inyo County know where Surprise Canyon is, but it's a county road and we do maintain it as such. It's in part of our maintain mileage, and we do want to maintain everything that is our responsibility.
Yeah, that's a cool picture, actually.
That was from a few years ago. Next slide. We put this in there just because this is what we know we get to do this spring with all the snow coming. But thanks to the board's help and us getting some newer equipment, we're able to do it. Before, the picture on the left would have been with a 1952 Snow Go, and it would have taken us a week. What that machine there can do in half a day. So,
Where is that?
Pardon?
Where's that picture?
That is going into Sabrina. So it's one of the ones that gets closed all year round. But one of the things I appreciate about going not last, but almost last, is all these people back here, man, they keep us going. It's all the people, other people in public works who the public doesn't necessarily see. They see all my guys out there with the reflective shirts on. But these are the people that keep us going and keep our roads great. So I just want to say thank you. Any questions I can answer?
Questions, comments?
All righty. Thank you for your time. Let's go.
I have to listen to him. He's my boss. No, I really. So if I bring my class A and me down, you'll show me how to use a backup.
Hey, you're a county employee, right?
How much you pay?
That's the issue. That's why we have a hard time bringing guys on board. Yeah,
I'll start.
Training is free.
There you go.
there you go. Yeah,
Decided.
training is free. Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you.
That's all right. Thank you.
Thanks, Shannon.
Thank you.
Okay,
All right.
our last one, which is probably one of the most important ones because without fiscal, none of this could be happening. I'm going to ask Brianne to come up. She's our senior management analyst. She gets to oversee all this and all the money that comes in and out and make sure that we're staying within budgets and create the budget. So it's a daunting task, but she has been doing a wonderful job. And as much as she hates to come up here, sorry, she's doing it. And I think it's a good chance that you get to see her. So,
I am one of those. I hate speaking in front of people.
We're glad to have you.
Thank you. Good afternoon or good morning, still board. So I was a little upset at first when they put the fiscal slide last, but then I told myself they say best for last. So as you saw on all the prior slides, all of that rolls down to the fiscal department with funding tracking, timesheet tracking. Each timesheet that's filled out by staff has to be tied to a project, a road, a piece of equipment. It spans across every division within Public Works. Currently, this fiscal year, Public Works is operating off of, was 25, but now it's 26 budgets, which is approximately 31 million in expenditures and around 25 million in budgeted revenues. Now, with that being said, working in a department that we do projects, that changes from day to day. We could start a project and then environmental stops the project. So it's our budgets are project based, change throughout the year. We oversee all of the grant expenditures and the expenditure claiming. This spans from storm damages to FAA grants, solid waste grants, water system grants, parks grants. We have to oversee all of the expenditures, the revenues for those, make sure everything's coming in, going out, approve what can be done, because these guys behind me, they try to slip things through. And just in the FAA grants alone, of course, Bishop Airport is commercial now, but between 18, 19 and 21, 22, we had over 16 million in grants that we put into our airports. And that did have some of it with Lone Pine and Independence. So we have to oversee all of that. And then along with that, we have to track all expenditures that go through for our facility operational costs of the 95 facilities we had discussed earlier, to ensure that the general fund is billing appropriately for our staff services time. So every service request that our guys report to, whether it be the COB, whether it be the admin building, annex, all of that is tracked and put into a cost accounting management system, which we call CAMS, so that we can bill appropriately to non-general fund departments. It is also the same thing for the road department. As I had said earlier, all of their time, it needs to be tracked specifically to projects, roads, routes, everything. It's very intricate. Kelsey is our guru for that, so I made her come sit in today. I'm sure she's appreciative. Let's see. Like I said, I don't like this, so I've kind of lost where I was at.
Public Works also manages service contracts throughout the county for pest services, propane for our facilities, floor cleaning, any type of service contract that we need. And let's see. Along with those contracts, we have to oversee all the contracts for any projects that are done. So North Round Valley Bridge, we oversee and process the payments and everything for the engineering contracts, for the construction part of the contracts. All of that comes down the hatch to us. For water systems with the 865 customers, approximately, that changes daily. We oversee the revenue and the account reconciliations for those, and we reach out to customers if they're not paying, or set up payment plans if we can. And so we send those invoices out monthly. Processing departmental payroll with authorized for 100 positions. Payroll can become pretty complex because we've got all the different divisions. Some of our divisions operate 7 days a week. Some have employees on call 7 days a week. Some have just on call on weekends. Some have shift differential. And that just ranges throughout our divisions. For custodial, you know, they're in shift differentials. Road department, they're on call on the weekends. Building and maintenance, we're on call 7 days a week. You never know what's going to happen. Fiscal also oversees all the recruitment and tracking for all of our authorized public works positions. And as we've seen lately, I don't know how many positions do we have on my board right now? 12. We're hurting in some areas, but I have to oversee, we oversee all of those to ensure that the positions are budgeted, which budget they're coming out of, correct steps and ranges to hire at. So I finally created us a list that we can all see the board and know what's going on instead of fiscal holding it tightly.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of the last ones, thank you. I was going to tell her she could have switched. So I just kept going. We do a lot of report compiling and balancing for the county single audit, as well as our road department annual road report. Road department funds are pretty well protected. And so we have to show every minute of everything that's been done in the road department, and that we get an annual road report each and every fiscal year. So we work closely with Amy's office on that as well. They help us a lot. So fiscal is pretty, I'm a little picture jealous as well, because I don't know what I could have done for fiscal, maybe some dollar signs, or we don't really have any fun pictures we can put up.
Credit for all of it.
There you go. Yeah, Mike, you do something about pictures.
Well, I actually did say that when we were going over it yesterday. I said it's kind of cool to see the pictures of some of the projects, because we don't always get out of the office to see that. So it was pretty interesting. Shannon will text us every now and then, another day in the office, but it was cool to see some pictures of the work that gets done throughout Public Works, because we're a large team.
Pretty impressive.
Mhm.
I was just going to say, you know, I thought I knew what you did in there, but just tracking the operational costs for all the county facilities, that alone. So, yeah, it's impressive. Okay, any questions, comments?
I know fiscal isn't as fun as.
No, it's
Not the right venue.
It's mind-boggling to keep everything you do in place for as many employees you have to track to every position. I understand that you have to bill for each building, each project, each staff member. That has got to be a daunting task. And I commend you and your staff for doing that.
Thank you. We've got a good fiscal department, and we've got good engineers and road staff and water system staff. I mean, they're all really good at putting their time down correctly so that we can bill appropriately and make sure we do get our revenue.
Any other thoughts? I'm getting a hook here. I think you guys are entitled to a whole lot of kudos from all of us and the public. And I wish we had more time to just tell you how much everything you do is appreciated. But I hope you know it. I hope you feel it. from all of us that the work you guys do makes us look good. And it also serves the public in incredibly important and unique ways, and our visitors, I think district parks. But anyway, thank you.
I just want to close, I say one thing included too. Your department, when you think about it, is in many ways, it's the face of the county to our public. The road crews, the building inspectors, the water billing and our water department, parks and campgrounds. You know, that's who's interacting with my constituents. And I really appreciate that we, you know, we're not just doing the work. We're interacting, we're part of the community, and that's what I think makes us both successful and then also garners public support. So thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Brianna. You did a wonderful job. I want to thank all my staff for being here and showing what we do.
All right, good job, you guys.
Shout out to Nolan, who put this together from information from all the divisions. So he had the task of assembling this so we can try to make presentation in a timely fashion. So I know we're out of time. I did get your email yesterday about some questions that we can go at a later time, but I think time's up. But thank you very much for watching this. Part of this is because of you guys too, you know, because of your decisions and investing in the county and in our department that we're able to do this. So thank you guys.
I like that you made them come talk. Sorry. But we like.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And again, I do appreciate some of them. It's out of their comfort zone. But this is
but we could see the pain. I'm sorry. It's appreciated.
I'm sharing the pain.
You're sharing.
At first, you know, it started to hurt, but after doing this over and over, it becomes, that's what I'm trying to teach them and show them. And I think they did a wonderful job. So thank you very much for your time.
And thanks for sharing some of your backgrounds. Do that more. Yeah, thank you.